All right, we got Chingo Bling here inside the Dana Cortez Show. But before we begin, we have a ritual.
Okay.
Before we start a conversation with anybody, Anthony A., take it away.
All right, we like to kick it off with 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
Do you know who Ric Flair is?
Do I put the mic down and do it?
Yeah, we put the mic down and do it.
You guys ready?
And I'll lead the count. So on the count of 3, 2 claps and a Ric Flair. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Woo! I love it.
Power 98.3. It's the Dana Cortez Show.
Change the energy, right?
It tightens up your diaphragm.
Yes, it does.
It kills all the Rona in the air.
It's funny we have Chingo in because we've been friends for so long. I feel like it's not an interview. It's a conversation.
Yeah, it's we all just reuniting.
Yes, we are reuniting. So obviously you've gone from hip hop artist for real to comedian.
I was comedic hip hop.
You think it's comedic hip hop?
I was like a comedic caterpillar.
How did that start? Can
no
you
matter
take us
what,
back?
you were moving units.
No, we did well. I found my niche. The riches are in the niches, and I found my lane. And when I first got into hip hop, I was more of a music nerd that wanted to like manage somebody. I wanted to be behind the scenes. Somehow, some way, I landed in the artist role, and I just knew that for one, I was like educated. Like I was a schoolboy. I was a college kid.
Where'd you go to school? Where you graduated?
Trinity University.
San Antonio.
Shout out to student debt.
Paid off my loans.
I just paid them off. Now I'm mad because now they're talking about like clearing it out for everybody.
Dude, right away I was like, okay, I cleared my loans and now all of a sudden everybody's going to get school for free?
Yeah, me and Otto was like real conservative on that one. We're like, hey, it's not fair how we did the right thing. We paid our debts.
And now your debt gets to go.
It is.
And now Anthony A. gets to benefit.
I'm buying my home tomorrow.
Awesome.
So you were educated, so you already knew anybody who makes something of themselves has to be educated. And I don't necessarily mean you got a degree, but you have to be a smart person, and you are definitely a smart person. So how did you go from that to comedy? What, you just woke up one day and said, I'm being a stand-up comedian?
Hold on, before you move there, I want to start. Okay, how did you come up with Chingo Bling, though?
Okay.
Now let's take it back.
So I was a college radio DJ. This is actually, like, if there was going to be a movie about Chingo Bling, this is that pivotal moment. Like, on Ricky Bobby,
story.
Ricky Bobby, it's the catalyst moment, the debate. When Ricky Bobby, in the very beginning, their driver quits, and they're like, Ricky, why don't you get in the car? I'm not getting in the car. I'm not getting in the car. Yeah. He got in the car, so therefore we were able to have a movie. So I was a college student in San Antonio. I'm just roaming the halls. I stumble into, like, a building, and I was like, is this a radio station? Why is that on my campus? And people are like, we're 91.7. I'm like, what do they play? They're like classical and jazz. I was like, oh, that sucks. I wish I could have a hip hop show on there. They're like, well, if you minor in communications, go talk to the PD and pitch him a show. I went. Luckily, thank God, this dude was like young and open-minded.
Right.
And I was like, hey man, I want to do a hip hop show. And he's just sitting there like, all right, you want to do Sunday night, like midnight to 2? And I was like, did he just say yes? I ran to the dorm. I told my 2 DJ buddies, I was like, yo, the frat parties and the mixtapes is cool, but we're about to be on air. So we're on Sunday night, which happens to be when people would cruise Military Drive on the south side.
Shout out San Antonio.
Shout out to the Tone. So what happened is I started playing the locals, and they were my street team. So now these rap labels are, hey, Lil Mama, you in the blue Civic, put it on 91.7. 91.7, don't they play classical? Yeah, but they about to play us. And next thing you know, all the cars are tuning in.
Wow.
Now we're getting fan mail from prison. And
let us know you made it.
I'm getting recognized at the swap meet.
Those are your believers.
Yeah.
So then from there, which that was a great story.
I want to know how you came up with the hat and the boots.
There you go. Okay. So I'm on there, public radio, college radio, and we have this show. I think it was like the Hip Hop Chop Shop. Then we changed it to the Middleman Mix Show. And I was like, yo, it's your boy DJ B.I.Z. I was a business major.
DJ B.I.Z. Wow.
DJ B.I.Z. coming live from the VIP. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I wanted to spice up the show, and I had these kooky ideas. So I'm like, yo, my primo Chingo's in town. He's got his entourage. He's always late. Oh man, is that him? And my DJ buddy's like, oh man, they can't be coming in here with all that, man. And then I'd get on the mic, bueno, and just be like, hey, ¿qué onda? Un saludo para el south side, ¿qué onda para el west side? And then just start like wanting to rap. And they're like, yo, bro, hold on, man, you can't be cussing in Spanish or whatever. The phones would light up. So we're like, I might be onto something. And I would do little raps as him on air. I got decent feedback, like, yo, you might be onto something.
You would interview yourself, and nobody even knew.
Well, I'd like bring him in as like a character.
Yes.
So then some of the local artists, I was really pitching myself like, yo, I got an idea for a skit. And they'd be like, all right, well, let me see what you got. And I would do one type of voice, another type of character, another type of voice. Next thing you know, they're like, yo, can I get a skit? Someone that's like, man, I need you on my skit, you know? And then when I was in the booth doing Chingo Bling, they were like, yo, they're out there dying. They're like, man, what is that? I was like, when I do that, that's Chingo Bling. And they're like, who? And they laughed at the name. I was like, okay, I think I got something. They're like, Chingo, what? And then it just evolved from there. And my initial plan was to do stand-up. So when I graduated, I stuck around San Antonio for 6 months, and my lease was up, and I was po. So I said, you know what?
H-Town.
You know what I'm saying? So I said, I'm going back home, going back to living with my folks. And I said, all right, I'm leaving San Antonio. I'm going to go do comedy. And my DJ buddies are like, bro, we're actually getting some traction in the DJing.
And you're going to leave
What
and
do you
quit
mean
this?
comedy? What are you talking about? I went to Houston. I met up with an OG comedian out there, Juan Villarreal. He was going to show me the ropes. But then I started getting calls to host, like, yo, Kid Frost is coming to Texas. We need a host. And I'm like, oh, there goes that. And I put all that to the side. And
So at the time, though, is that when you were still making like a lot of the remixes and a lot of the parody raps that you
That's
were
kind of
doing?
when you started in Houston, right?
Really, yeah. Really San Antonio, but Houston is where it started to like
Bubble.
just kind of, I really started to focus on it more. So in San Antonio, I might have had like a demo. It was like a handful of tracks and very rough.
Did Chingo Bling actually get approached by record labels?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Diddy
yeah.
was trying to
Oh,
sign
my
him.
God.
What do you-
Diddy
wait,
tried
what?
to sign
Yes,
him.
I
Diddy
remember
story?
that. Yeah,
Hold on, I'll
Tell
pack
us the
that.
Diddy story.
It's
Tell
a
us the
lot.
Diddy
It's a
story.
lot of people, a bunch of labels, and also shout out to Pitbull.
I want to say this. So we're at Big Show Power Summit.
Okay.
And Chingo's walking around. He's got his boots on, his chains on, his hat on, and every record label there. I mean, this is when every record label will go to Puerto Rico to go to Big Show Power Summit.
Yeah.
Wanted to sign Chingo. Everybody there.
Why didn't you sign?
I've always, I know, right? I've always. It was very hard decisions, but like depending on what contract it was, a lot of times it'd be a starter beginner offer. It'd be like, hey man, you're gonna start at the bottom, and it's like, ooh, so basically I'm gonna be in debt to you. You get all the creative control. You own the intellectual property. You're gonna tell me what to do. And I had a problem with authority.
And you're already at the bottom. You're like, why I got to start all over again?
Yeah.
And you're going to take everything?
He had already had his own wave at that point.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, yeah, but they're going to take everything he's worked for. They're going to take, and he's got to pay him on top of that.
Well,
That
that's a
doesn't make
record deal.
sense.
Yeah, so some of the deals started getting better, and I didn't want to be the guy that's like, oh, he just likes to tell people no. It wasn't about that. It's just like, hey, I had to kind of like know who I was and know who I wanted. I mean, what I wanted. Like I needed to know the roadmap a little bit, and I knew ownership was pretty important, and just having some kind of creative say, because I just knew they weren't gonna know what box to put me in. You know.
They still don't.
Yeah, I still don't. Because they might look at it like, well, he's Latino, or they might say, well, he's from Texas. He needs to be like, we need to market him this way, or it's, you know, it's comedy.
But now you're selling out shows all over the country.
Now I'm a comedic butterfly.
Yeah, now that's an inside joke.
it.
That was
I love
earlier. When you started in the South, you've made your way all over the country. We were in Portland recently. We saw you at a show in Portland. Oh my God, I touched you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
by
do that
mistake.
with the Rona. I apologize.
The Rona.
But how did that come about? I mean, isn't it scary, or wasn't it scary, to let go of that Chingo persona, to let kind of go of the boots and everything, and go, you know what? I'm going to be me, and I'm going to come out here and do this comedy thing.
Yeah, it was something I wrestled with, because even to this day, like if you guys make it to the show, or anybody that makes it, the theme for this year's material is basically like, I'm just like you. I've been living life. You know, so because everyone's like, where's the grill? Where's the boots? Where's the hat? Where's Cleto? Where's this?
Exactly.
And I got to tell them, like, roosters don't live that long.
Cleto gone. Cleto's in the backyard, 6 feet under.
Like, we done replaced him once or twice, like Mickey Mouse, and we tried to keep it going. But so yeah, I wrestled with, you know, that transition. Like, how do you shed layers? How do you show more of like the true, authentic you? And you don't want people to feel like, oh man, he was lying to us, or man, what the hell, that was an act, or whatever. And we just tie it all together, and comedy's a great way to, you know, those that remember me from back in the day, you're still gonna have a good time. If you're new and you brought a coworker, you're gonna have a good time, and you know, you're gonna learn about this person and laugh.
You work with your wife. DJ Automatic and I are married. We work together. What is that like? for you, honestly,
This is the interesting part.
working with your wife on a daily basis?
And you know, that's a great question because people ask, like, I could never work with my spouse. People always like,
I don't
could
understand
never.
that. I don't understand that. I love being with my husband. He's my best friend. That sounds so cliche, but it's true.
I think you guys are misunderstanding it. Just the people around y'all that don't like working with y'all.
Whatever. What's the everyday like with your wife? Do y'all fight about things? You argue? Or
Well,
is it just all
Our
green
personalities are
pastures?
pretty different. So she's very like meticulous, like detail oriented, like hella organized on top of it. And I'm more of like the creative scatterbrain. Like sometimes I'll be barbecued, in the daytime. And she's like, did you not hear what I just said? I'm like, I'm high, baby. I'm sorry. So sometimes, and the only time we ever bump heads, it's always work related. It's never about
Like,
anything personal. It has nothing to do with us. It's always like, I told you at 3:00 you're supposed to meet me here, but you switch things around and now you're at the gym or you're over there at the studio. What's going on? So it's great though, because she plays like travel agent. She's like manager. She's like booking flights, hotels. She's letting the opening acts knowing where they need to be, what the offer is. And
You could trust her.
yeah. So, and guess what? It's hilarious. So I'm gonna give you the quick version of the story. Last summer we were in LA. I had some gigs, right? We had to do House of Blues. I was gonna open up for Intocable. After the show,
Wow.
yeah, it was tough because they were wanting Intocable and they're like, "Who's this guy?"
I'm like, damn.
How, dude, man.
So all I had was English jokes.
I'm Hispanic.
And anyway, that was interesting. But so at the end of the night, the representative from House of Blues, Live Nation, they own House of Blues. They come in, they hand her a check. It was a little light. It wasn't what we discussed. And she's like, "Oh, hang on. I'm sorry. I may be mistaken. We're not judging you. Maybe I messed up." She pulls out her little contract. Bam. Okay, according to this, whoop-de-whoop. And my 11-year-old witnessed all this, and because she's in the green room because we didn't have no sitter. Because we're Mexican and we're ghetto. So my daughter always brings it up. She's like, if I ever get into entertainment, I want Soli to manage me because she defended daddy and she had her paperwork. And I saw how she did it too.
And she got that check.
Yeah, and they went and fixed it.
You wouldn't have caught that though. That's good that you appreciate her like that, because you saying that means that you appreciate.
well, it's also
all
hard when you're the artist, when you're the person performing. It's hard to be like, hey, you didn't give me enough money. It's hard to be that.
No, you're
person.
right.
And
Yeah,
like, it's
because
great
we love what we do. Yeah. It's like you're really paying me to travel, and I love being on stage.
You know, and the trick is that you do it for free. You just can't let people know.
Yeah.
So
She's very influential within the business side of it too. But for you, I want to go back to one thing, because we talked about your turning point with your music career. What was your turning point to be like, I'm going to do this full-fledged comedy? Because you're going like what, your third comic tour? How many tours have you done?
I mean, I'm about 5 years in, 5.5 years.
To comedy? So what was the big point where you're like, okay, I'm going to go full-fledged into this comedy?
When I got burnt out on music.
you didn't want to do it anymore.
No, I got a taste.
That sounds bizarre to your fans. What do you mean you got burnt out on music?
Oh my God, the music industry will burn you out if you let it. So I was like 34, about to turn 35, and I was like, man, I'm getting older. This has always been a dream. I'm petrified of it. I have no jokes. I don't know how I'm gonna get on stage, and it's gonna be painful. Like I would go to open mics and I would say, "Hey man," and they're like, "Ain't you Chingo?" Hey, not right now, bro. Just bring me up as Pedro or Pete. And they'd be like, "Oh, y'all know him from the rap game. He's trying something new. Give it up. Houston's very own. Y'all are in for a special treat." And I'm like, "No, I'm practicing." So I was about to turn 35, and it was like a bucket list thing. It's like, man, you're a wuss. You still ain't did this. You've been wanting to do this. And I started diving in. Some of my friends were putting together shows, and I was like, hey, man, let me just get 10 minutes. And yeah, we'd love to have you. And, I'll just sell merch at the end. Don't worry. I'll fly in, whatever. And I got bit by the bug. It was just so, what's the word? Rewarding, because you're getting instant feedback. You can't hide behind the beat. You can't hide behind dancers. You can't hide behind Cleto in the suit.
Gotcha.
So you're saying something about your life, and they're I'm making myself the butt of the joke, and they're laughing. I was like, oh, this feels good.
Well, I think it's like therapy. Comedy's like therapy. It's like radio's like therapy. Whenever we get out there, you put yourself out. You're laughing at some of the most intimate moments of your life, and sometimes things that are even you're maybe self-conscious about, problems in your life. You can let all that out, and everybody can relate.
If it goes well. You mentioned going up there and what all comics go through is bombing.
Oh yeah.
or
Have you
not-
bombed yet?
Oh yeah, you have to dare to bomb.
My
You have
question
to
is, how
dare to
many
suck.
stage reps within that 5 year do you think you've had? Over 10,000?
Nah. I'm actually very lazy when it comes to open mics. I avoid them like the plague. I don't like them. I don't like them at all, and I tend to get my practice on my actual tour. So we did, I forget what city it was, but we did like 4 shows or something. So that's 4 hours of stage time versus 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, back home. I'd have to be up every night.
You're taking classes. Like this is a full-fledged class.
And you
every
can't
single
really
night.
do open mics in Houston or in
I
Texas.
mean,
No, not really.
I can, and it's challenging because it's like not my crowd, and sometimes it's like all comedians or it's like 5 people, and it's discouraging. It'll really beat you down. But what I wanted to say real quick is something that we have in common, myself and you guys as a show, is the more you share, the better, because you want people to feel like they know you. So whatever banter y'all do on y'all show, keep doing it. All the little inside nuances, keep sharing, share more, because when they're tuning into you guys every morning in all these cities, they're like, oh, hey, how's the baby? How's it?
And that's why I said, like, when you let all of that out, you're vulnerable.
You
And
have
yes,
to be.
sometimes it's embarrassing, but everybody's family has issues.
Everybody gets chorro from time to time.
Everybody. And so I know that
Everybody's wife bitches at him.
Hey, man, we don't use the B word.
Anyway, so I think that's a valuable lesson, and I think that's the lesson we need to take away from this conversation. If you want it, if you got a dream, jump. What do you have to lose? The worst taste is regret.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
never regret
that'll
the things
eat you up,
do.
man. It'll make you bitter. It'll eat you up.
The things you regret are the things you don't do. And you tried and you actually succeeded. And honestly, you can't learn unless you fail a little bit anyway.
What do they say? Something about, there's a quote, something about like the life unlived or something. But
I don't know nothing about them quotes.
Yeah,
All I know right now
quotes.
is that you gave a damn good life lesson. In this whole conversation, that's what I want people to take away from it, is that you were scared, you were afraid,
Petrified.
and you did it.
Of course, because what throws me off is like people's expectations. It's like, is he gonna rap? You know, is he gonna dance around? So people's expectations, you have to like tune all of that out and almost like command the room and be like, I know what you expect, I know what you want, but I'm gonna give you this and I'm gonna sell it to you. So
And you're going to like it and you're going to eat it. And
That's
you're going
it.
to take it.
You gotta be like a parent.
Y'all give it up for Pete, a.k.a. Pedro, a.k.a. Chingo Bling. Thank you for stopping in. Woo!
Power 98.3. It's the Dana Cortez Show.